We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. The foundation leads the fight. The warriors lead the tribe. When the beat drops and the spirits rise, we find the truth behind the disguise. They want us to go away, only our hearts do we obey. The foundation leads the fight. The warriors lead the tribe. When the beat drops and the spirits rise, we find the truth behind the disguise. They want us to go away, only our hearts do we obey. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo.
Hey, welcome back, everybody in the Irreverent Warriors Grunt Style Foundation land. I am Hugh from Irreverent Warriors, and I'm joined today with Will Wisner, Executive Director, Grunt Style Foundation, and John Lanius, Special Operations Charity Network, one of our favorite guests. And we had a good rain last night, but it's a beautiful day, and I'm sure it'll open up and the sun will start coming out later. Thank you, John, for joining us. John is a Grunt Style Foundation practitioner and healer who holds excellent space for veterans and has attended a lot of the Grunt Style Foundation retreats in order to do that. So thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and for everybody watching, if you haven't seen, we dropped a whole new episode of the Triangular Compass with John. So that just dropped this week. You can go check it out there on our social media platforms.
People are digging it. I don't know if you heard, but people are digging the interview.
Well, good.
They were like, the guy that interviewed you, John, is really, really great. So we should let that guy know that he's really great.
That's fantastic. You can tell them they can make a donation to the Grunt Style Foundation at gruntstylefoundation.org.
Yeah, if you go to the Grunt Style Foundation YouTube, that's where you can find that video as well as all the other places. But I like to watch it on YouTube. Apparently, YouTube's where some of the older GWAT veterans go to consume content.
All of us old fogies.
Yeah. Yep. And Will, I know you've been very deep in. You've been at the Capitol. You've been legislating. You've been testifying. I know there's been a lot of stuff passed, most recently by the president around psychedelics.
That's right.
There's been some movement on the overprescription space, as well as cannabis legislation. Give us the rundown on everything Grunt Style Foundation. Just start knocking them down.
Yeah, well, the rundown is it's a lot. It's a big list. So, I mean, we got things going on at the federal level. We got things going on at the state level. The big ones, is in order, I guess. A week ago, President Trump signed an executive order basically plowing the way for this research into psychedelic-assisted treatments.
Wait, so they're actually looking at the data? Is someone actually finally looked at the data on this and how many lives it's saving in the veteran community? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I can tell you there's a lot of people in the administration that have, experience with this, whether it's from family members or, I don't know who maybe have direct experience, but they understand this very well. And I think we're at a point here where the right questions have been asked and the right people are in place to actually push something forward. Of course, we're in a weird time because, we're tribal in this country, and everybody's got a baseball team because that's basically what politics is. It's a blood sport, and you pick your team.
So
and
wait. Are you saying that it's kind of like the Colosseum in Rome when they wanted to distract everybody and have them watch the gladiators fight?
It may be worse than Rome because if it's the team is opposite of your side, you're going to go like that, right? That's the kill them.
Are you not entertained?
That's exactly right. And it's just a weird hubbub, people that have been, working towards this effort for a long time. It's just really hard to get over that hump, the fact that it's Trump that's doing this. So it looks like they're just looking for any reason whatsoever just to shit all over it. And that's
I've wanted this my whole life, but now I am going to find a reason why I don't like it.
It's the best caca you've ever seen. Yes. So good.
Well, our salesman there is not necessarily the best given on any particular giving day. I think that came out right around the time we had Trump Jesus going on the meme. So I don't know if that's real helpful to the overall objective. But so that's on that side. So then here, just in recent days, President Trump put out another order on cannabis in rescheduling medicinal marijuana down to Schedule 3.
Okay.
And
so it does have therapeutic benefit after all. Golly gee.
once again, people, I mean, Cheech and Chong, if they're on whichever side of the camp are probably booing that for the exact same reasons we had earlier. So it's the same problem.
Can I just share with you guys the paper that I have that demonstrates that cannabis has been used on some of the oldest temples in the world, 5,000 years old? Can I just share those papers with you guys?
Oh, yeah.
You can
tell us
share with
more.
other people.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
So I have numerous academic papers on the use of cannabis on the altars of the oldest temples in the world, mixed with things like frankincense, things that are in the air right now in the room. I'm more than happy to share that because here's the thing. This has been used for thousands of years. And in the last, obviously 50, 70 years, et cetera, it's been usurped, just like a lot of the other stuff we talk about. But I would love to share that paper with you so you can share it with others.
Yeah, I would love that.
100%.
That's a big area of interest for me. One of the models that we look at and we like to talk so much about is the work that even going back to the Scythians and how they were using cannabis as a reintegration for their warrior culture within their tribes, that they would have to go through purification rituals with cannabis. And that's the actual term that they used. And etymologically, that comes all the way down to the oil of chrism in the Bible, which also is listed as cannabis. And it's etymologically the same. And for whatever reason, we just discount thousands of years of history and other cultures that were interacting with each other. They had the exact same modalities, but for whatever reason, nope, this cannabis is a swamp reed and doesn't count for the same thing. So this is nothing news under the sun. We're rediscovering things that our ancestors understood quite well, and we're now trying to decouple it from the what was the modern lens way of looking at it at the time that's now the past lens of way of looking at it. So I think we're coming into a new time that's very exciting. Lots of things happening.
Wait, hold on a second. Are you saying that nature is a pharmacy?
Yes, I'm saying that.
Wait. Are you saying the planet that grew us could also grow things that could help us heal?
That is correct.
No, I think we need to go create it in a lab. I think we know better than the universe does.
Well, and you know what? There is times for that, and I was having this, and that's something I've had to change my position on. We're going to be talking later, we're doing a live stream with former Senator Holly Thompson Rader, and there's a psilocybin bill here in Missouri that we've also been working on that's passed out of the House. It's over the Senate side. And, it's always been when we were doing this a couple years ago, there was this part where they had inserted in the language of the bill that these mushrooms had to be synthetic. And so I've been beating that drum.
Wait, mushrooms are from the planet. They're not synthetic.
Well, you can still isolate them down and synthesize down to get the psilocybin, which your body converts into psilocin. And so, I was radically against that because I view that as just a way for Big Pharma to come in and inject a molecule of carbon into this mushroom so that it has to be, their product that's being studied. And once that evidence is in hand, well, then when it goes back to the legislature, well, we've only studied this version. We haven't studied the natural version. This bill in Missouri does provide for both. You can have the synthetic as well as the natural grown. And that is also important because, you take 5 grams of mushrooms, you may be getting a psilocybin dose that's actually closer to 2 grams just because of how that flush grew. Right. Whereas with the synthetic, you can go for, very precise controlled amount. And it's just practical. So as long as we're not shackling ourselves to the interest of Big Pharma, I certainly have no problems with that. And that's me coming a long way, on that conversation as it evolves.
Had to sit you down and go, look, it's easier for us to actually give this to people if we do it this way.
It makes sense, especially for people that don't have any experience in those modalities, taking a gram even of like a golden teacher strain of mushrooms is going to be a radically different experience than doing a gram of albino penis envies. It just is.
Sure. I got you. Well, we wanted to bring on a special guest from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, one of our local coordinators, one of our favorite people of all time, Crystal. And we wanted to bring her on, and we wanted to talk about the Camp Lejeune hike at Jacksonville, North Carolina that just occurred. So let's see if we can get her. She is our special guest.
Hello.
Hey.
Well, hello.
How are you doing? How was the hike? Tell us about the Silkies hike that you all had in Camp Lejeune.
Let me tell you, OMG. Like, we have fun every year, But we just had to be a little extra this year. I was able to talk to the Camp Johnson Devil Pups, which was cool. And one of the junior Marines lost his ID. We didn't even make it to the first stop. And they bought it to me. So I'm like, we're not just about to give you this ID back. Everybody turned into a drill instructor. Everybody just ran. Get on your face. It was probably one of the highlights, if you ask me, because I was like, we just started this hike. How did you lose your freaking ID already? So it was just a lot of fun. High energy, super hot. But that didn't stop anything. We had someone show up in a wheelchair and they took times pushing her. We made sure we had our sister there. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Oh, I
That's
think we lost.
fantastic. I love that. Were there any good stops, any fun stops that you all had that you want to talk about? I'm looking at
Oh,
the
yes.
video now. It's showing all the different pictures of everybody and how much fun they're having there at Camp Lejeune.
Indeed. So our guest speaker was Dr. Tag, right? A fellow Marine, and she had all of these activities because she deals with, the mental when it comes to what you're going through. And she's not one of those, "Oh, how does that make you feel?" So I love her. She had this, it was this affirmation gumball machine, and she had like $30 in quarters, and everybody got a message. And she had this paper that you can just write down what you have going on, and you put it in the water, and it dissolves. Like it was just a moment I loved. But we did have a bit of a tender moment at the tequila bar because I was nosy. I'm like, I want to know what brought you out here today. Other than us being out here in these little shorts and being fun, I want to know what was your motivation. And you had a couple people come out and tell their story. And there was one that oh Lord, I can hear it in my voice. He really got to us because his when you hear these stories, you kind of feel like a little bit of a coward. Like, oh my God, look at what I thought I was going through, and look at what this person was really going through. So that part of the hike stuck with me for a minute because people were so raw and open, and he was so young, and his story was really, I mean, it really just touched a lot of people. We had Oh, I thought I heard you talking. I'm sorry. We had our halfway point was a Ton Tavern, which I absolutely love because a Gold Star mom and a Blue Star mom own that spot, and those are the strongest women I've ever met. I feel like such a wuss when I talk to these ladies, okay? Because like their story, and it's like, look at you and how strong you are, Mama Nat. I love you. She is one of our. I mean, we hold her up to such a standard. This lady is amazing, and she's like an IW vet when it comes to volunteering, okay? She'll tell them, you get here, you get tents, you get this. And she's just the softest thing, though. But she's so strong. Like, it's really hard to describe. I wish I could. And then you have the Angry Ginger. Love them because they have been sponsoring us for years. And I'm like, we actually have a chance to stop there on the hike. And they turned the next building into this indoor golfing. They gave us the beer garden. It was just so dope. Oh my God. And one more thing. I told you I would talk your head off when it comes to this hike, okay? So one more thing, I promise. JT, that's my assistant coordinator. So he ended up getting in touch with one of the monster reps, and they had this travel bag that's super rare. I had no clue how rare until the auction started. And they have pictures of me completely losing my mind because it went from $100 to $600 in about 10 minutes. So the fact that we were actually able to raise some money for the hike, and they know that everything we raise go directly back into the hike, and pulling up to Sam's Club and them having a whole pallet of water saying here. And I'm like, okay, well, we finna break this down and make it happen. Everything just seemed so perfect for the hike. And as usual, I was just nervous and just waiting, like, oh my God. But it was just another good family reunion. Like, oh, I can't even wait until next year because I have a big old secret I have to sit on for a whole year. That's not easy, okay? OMG.
Fantastic. Hey, what do you got coming up next down there in Jacksonville? What do you got planned next for IW?
Well, next I'm gonna get with Eli Patone. I'm probably saying it so wrong. Patoni. He is the owner of the Jacksonville Ospreys here, and they have a Once Marine, Always Marine night. I'm trying to get all of my IWs together because he actually wants us to run the bases in Silkies. He's a big supporter. He did that whole hike in that Pelican mascot, I know he was burning up. I don't see how he did that, but he was so down. This is another thing I liked about our sponsors. Everybody was so for the cause. We had Grand Canyon University out there. We always pushing education, so why not? And we had NC Works. We know a lot of veterans that need help with employment. So when it came to the veterans, I'm like, I want y'all out here, but I really wanted to find some vendors that could help us. If we were going to be out here, I wanted somebody with some legit resources, and it was just an all-around good time. You have to come to it next year, like seriously.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for everything you do out there in Jacksonville and Camp Lejeune. You do such a fantastic job and have done for so long. We're so lucky to have you. So thank you so much, Crystal, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Oh my God, you're gonna make me get all mushy. So I'm gonna get off so you don't see my ugly cry face. One of my lashes may fall off and I don't want y'all to see that. But I will be getting to it with you guys. Thank you for having me. I love y'all. I did a whole
Crystal.
podcast without cursing. I'm winning. Oh my God.
Oh man, she was gone before. I had a question for her.
Yeah.
I wanted to know for the guy that lost his ID card. You remember, in basic training, they had this stupid thing that they would make the privates carry around. It was like a big fake ID card with a hole cut out, so you put your head in it. So in case you lost it, you had to carry it around for a day.
Yes,
we should get some of those for those IW hikes that are on military.
That would be hilarious. Yes, that would be such a good idea. I love it. But yes, Crystal there in Camp Lejeune, fantastic. We got a bunch of IW events coming up. We've got the May 15 integration retreat there in Indiana with cold plunges, sweat lodging, meditation and breath work. We've got May 16th. We've got hikes all the way across the United States. We've got Columbus, Fort Worth, Salt Lake. And the reason I love the Salt Lake team is Salt Lake, Utah is SLUT. So they call themselves the Sluts.
What? Who's this now?
Salt Lake, Utah.
Yeah.
SLUT.
Oh my God.
Those are that's the acronym for the Salt Lake, Utah areas.
Oh man, they are terribly repressed people. They need some mushrooms.
Yeah, they do a lot. They have a lot of fun with that, especially the religious ones. And Philadelphia has a big hike coming up May 16th, and then we finish out May strong. We've got Massachusetts, Wyoming, Normandy, France, and Kansas City in the Midwest. The Normandy, France hike is going to be unique this year because the commander of the VFW is specifically flying with her team over to go to the Silkies hike in Normandy, France.
Man. Dude, Carol she's everywhere.
She is everywhere.
Is that now you've been a long time guy with the VFW. I'm still pretty new.
Yep.
Is that what the commander in chief does? Just be like an ambassador for the veterans of the United States? Because I mean, she is everywhere. I just saw where Corey was like in Vietnam or something crazy too.
Yeah, it's the Secretary of State or the President or whatever. It's a lot of travel. It's a lot of speeches, and they kick ass. And I'm telling you, they have almost no days off for that year that they're the commander.
Good Lord.
It truly is. They put it all in there, and then they rest for a couple of years afterward.
They're going to need it.
But yeah, she'll be there, Normandy, France, so that's going to be exciting. And then, speaking of leadership changes, Navy Secretary, gone.
Gone again.
In the middle of the most naval action, I think, in the past
since like World War II.
Years, 60 years, 70 years. That's pretty crazy. Lots of stuff going on. But John, I wanted to get back into you. You're here. You're representing the Special Ops Charity Network. Tell us what's going on in your world. I know that there's a lot of upcoming events. You're not as busy as the VFW commander, but you're pretty busy.
He's pretty close.
You're pretty busy. And I know you're talking at the psychedelic. There's a psychedelic conference talk coming up. I know there's a lot of different things that you're getting involved in. I know that there's a grand opening of a skate park, a memorial skate park for a KIA soldier from the 25th Infantry Division. We can get into that, but I guess first let's talk about some of the upcoming events you've got on your schedule.
Yeah, so if you're in the St. Louis area tomorrow, actually it started yesterday, but there's the Heartland Hypnosis Conference. Hypnosis is something that I got into 5 years ago when I had a senior official in the Department of Justice reached out to me who's been a hypnotist for 35 years, and he says, "Why aren't you a hypnotist yet?" And I was like, what a random call, senior official in the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, John, I'm telling you, everything that you were into, it will expand it. And he was absolutely right. So what that's led into is taking the fragrance work that you guys are very familiar with, but I pair it now with a modality called fragrance hypnosis, where I actually take things at a much deeper level. So whether I've got a referral from a general, an Army general, or someone else, I'm working with soft operators, I'm working with executives, and just regular everyday moms, dads, and kids in using fragrance hypnosis as a way to deepen. Well, you have an opportunity to experience both of those tomorrow. It is only $20 for the general public. It is free for those that are a part of the Heartland Hypnosis Conference, but from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Aleemwood Hotel up by, for us older people, we call it Riverport Amphitheater.
That's right. It's always going to be Riverport.
Right, right. But they're telling me to call it Hollywood Amphitheater.
Yeah. We don't conform here.
I get it. Good. And anyway, from 4 to 6 p.m., it's going to be a combination of the incense journey, which, again, if you've never experienced this, it is smokeless, it is pure fragrance, it is transformational, and we'll also pair it with a hypnosis experience for everybody. And so that's tomorrow from 4 to 6. If you go to any of my social media, you can find that. When you talk about retreats, next weekend, I will be at the Old Man River Nature Retreat. You guys are partnered with Jim Brown. Jim Brown is a veteran.
Great dude.
Yeah, great dude. And yeah, there it is. And I think there's like 6 or 7 slots remaining. But we've got people coming in from Texas. The Graces are coming in, I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get down there.
Yeah,
oh, my God. I'm going to be in South Dakota. I was going to be there. But the Graces.
You say I'm busy. Come on, dude. You guys are busy. Anyway, it's supporting primarily veterans, active military, first responders, but we're opening it up to everybody because, there's going to be fishing. There's going to be the incense journey, martial arts, sound healing. There's going to be walks on the 40 acres of woods that are there. It's just going to be awesome. So if you're interested in that, that's at the Old Man River Nature Retreat next weekend. And then the last point that I'll make was the first point that you made was that on May 14th, I'll be speaking for Psychedelic St. Louis. There it is. And it's...
I
love this you floating in like a Alice in Wonderland kind of utopia. I mean, this is like a Beatles album cover, except it's featuring you.
Yeah, and I couldn't look any more wasp than you could imagine.
It's pretty great, man.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Well, anyway, it's altered states and aromatic minds. It's psychedelics versus psychotropics in consciousness. Now, you and I had talked about off mic about how you perceive psychotropics and how I language it. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I do, yes. When we use the term psychotropics, when we're in the Veterans Affairs space, generally what we're talking about is the pharmaceuticals that are prescribed to us when you go into the VA because you hurt your knee. They'll say, are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling blue? Are you feeling suicidal? They do a screening no matter what you go in for. And if you answer a couple of those as yes, then you leave with a psychotropic pharmaceutical. And they don't really explain much to you about it other than take your pills, right? And I think Will and I have both experienced this. And so when we say psychotropics, that's what we mean. When you say psychotropics, you're talking about nature's psychotropics.
Absolutely. So what psychotropics do from the natural world is they change the quality of your consciousness. About 40% of Western medicine targets GPCRs. GPCRs are, without going too deep, they are receptors in our body that then tell our immune system what to do. So when you're mixing or when you're including things like terpenoids and the way that fragrance works on our limbic system, primarily the amygdala, et cetera, is that frankincense, for example, changes the quality of your consciousness. Sandalwood changes the quality of your consciousness. So, but there are other types of psychotropics. All different types of alcohols are forms of psychotropics, meaning that they change the quality of your consciousness. If you're a drinker, if you drink red wine, you're going to feel a certain way, different if you're in your 20s. I should not have been drinking any kind of tequila in my 20s because, made me want to fight, right? But the point that I'm making here is that this talk is really about how psychedelics can open the door very powerfully for people that need that. And then the psychotropics, the fragrances that you guys have been had access to, and many people that are listening to this, it's a way to support before, during, and after the experience. luckily, because I've been with incense my entire life, I don't feel that I need psychedelics, right? But I do know the research, and I do know that it helps people. So how do we create a holistic process around all of this, right? Yeah, there you go, right there. And that it looks like it's smoke. And in that particular case, that's Borneo camphor, which is off-gassing. So you'll notice how quickly that disappears. Bad incense always has smoke that lingers in the room and doesn't go away. So I perpetually fight this preconceived notion about head shop incense and truck stop incense versus what I'm doing right now that I can't see.
Now remind everybody that I think one of the reasons you work with incense is because the healing capability it has, and nobody's aware of this. You know, nobody's aware. People know that incense is awesome, and they like to do it when they meditate and stuff, but nobody really understands what you were explaining, the science behind incense and why it's so important for healing and to get to subconscious, to release subconscious emotion. You were telling me that it bypasses some sort of filter that your brain has on reality.
Yeah, so all of our senses, except for our sense of smell, has to go through the thalamus. The thalamus is a regulator to have us understand what reality is. In other words, the table, the microphone, you, me, our memories, our emotions, all of that. Our sense of smell is the only sense that does not initially you go through the thalamus. It skips it, and it goes to the amygdala. It goes to the rhinencephalon, which is the oldest part of our brain, which allows us to control memories and emotions. The only reason why you know who you are is because of your memory. If you didn't have a memory, you would have no idea who you are. And so we need our memory, but our memory tells us who we are, but it also tells us who we are. So that gets in the way of what's possible for you. So when you're using these things as a way to take a look at yourself from a distance, observe yourself, this is what's happening with psychedelics to a certain extent. You're breaking the mental and ego connection to who you are. You're like, oh, I'm a piece of whatever because of this. Blah, blah. That's not true. It's not true. It's true for you, but it's not true, at least I'm going to sound woo-woo right now, but it's not true in the grandness of the universe. Something happened to you. You made a decision about it. You reinforced it, and you've proven to yourself whatever you believe, positive or negative. So we all have positive imprints and negative imprints. Incense, psychedelics, other modalities out there, many of your guests that you've interviewed, gives us the ability to break the pattern, observe it, reassess ourselves, also hypnosis, which is the reason why that event tomorrow is important. And it gives you the ability to reprogram yourself into a whole new way of being that makes you reintegrate who you are so you can wake up in the morning feeling good about yourself, in short.
That makes incense so much more powerful than what we've always been told. You know, like the way I grew up was just to use incense to cover up the smell of whatever you were smoking that you didn't want your parents to smell, right? But the fact is that these powerful incense, especially not the truck stop ones, but especially the pure ones, these ones that you have in the studio, they take you back thousands of years. You know, when I'm smelling it, this sense of presence in the present moment and this sense of calmness, and I feel heart-centered, if that makes sense. Yeah. And it's really, I've begun to use incense in when I meditate and do breath work at home. And I think it's been phenomenal.
Well, absolutely. Just even walking into the studio, you guys beat me here today. And when I walked in, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, John's got the incense going. And now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm pretty chilled out, man, right now.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I feel very present.
Yeah.
When we talk about being present, I know you're a skateboarder. I'm a skateboarder. We both used to go see the Powell Peralta skate team when they used to come to St. Louis. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how skateboarding helps people be present. How does that work with science?
Well, so for me, and this is primarily my interpretation based on my experience and what I know, but it's like one of the first things about skateboarding is the element of danger. You know, the element of danger brings us to the present moment pretty quick, right?
Yeah, and so, that's probably why I kept volunteering for combat deployments. I'm being serious.
Yeah,
you know?
Time slows down. Feels good.
Yeah. So the fear factor brings us to the present moment pretty powerfully. A lot of people don't like to have fear, but controlled fear is actually a good thing. It brings you to the present moment. The next thing
just like a cold plunge, because a cold plunge is like fight or flight, comes really hard, but then you're able to be like, I am asking for the discomfort to come on, and I'm allowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it puts you in a completely flip side of feeling like resilient.
Yeah. Well, when you're learning how to skateboard, the more you resist balance, the more you fall.
Yeah.
So as you begin to understand flow and you're standing on a board, if you're worried about the fear of falling, you're going to fall. But if you get on the board and start to move forward, you're going to be able to start flowing. You're going to find your balance, just in the same way that all of us, if we learned how to ride a bike with training wheels, at some point, some parental figure took off those training wheels and we weren't even aware that it was happening. And suddenly we were then riding a bike. So then the next part of this is that then once you learn how to skate and stop and all the other pieces and parts that go into that, well, then there's challenges. Can I ollie over that curb? Can I get up on the sidewalk without having to use my hands? Can I kick flip? Can I do different types of tricks to challenge myself, which teach you, from my perspective, growing up in martial arts and incense and skateboarding all at the same time, there's a Japanese concept called ma'ai, which is timing and distance. Everything is timing and distance. Usually, if I'm talking to the military community, my quickest go-to is that when you take a plane and you're running it down a runway, or when you're on an aircraft carrier and you're taking a plane and running it down that runway, you've got timing and distance. In other words, you've got to hit to, your rotate speed before you run out of runway. And so same thing with skateboarding here is that you're learning timing and distance. If I hit the lip of that ramp too soon or too late, I fall. And so there's a Chinese concept called wei wu wei, doing not doing, where the doer wholeheartedly vanishes into the deed. The game plays the game. The poem writes the poem. You can't tell the dancer from the dance. All of us have experienced that flow state. Now, we call that from the 90s. A lot of business executives in the 90s were like, we'll take this Chinese concept and we'll add a new name. We'll call it the flow state. But what they're actually talking about is wei wu wei, doing, not doing, where you and I are fully committed and fully centered. We're fully in the moment. We're not.
You're focused on the process, not on the outcome.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just in the moment.
You're doing it to do it.
Yeah.
And you're doing the process to do it.
Right.
You're not doing it to achieve something specific or to be successful. You're just in love with the doing of it.
Exactly. And so as you start to understand, the non-performative nature of reality is that you just begin to just be. And at first glance, we live in a culture where just open up Instagram, all these people performing. Look at me, look at this recipe, look at whatever. Okay, fine. I can get value and benefit from that, but I'm looking at a presenting self. I'm not looking at the authentic self. I've said this before to you guys, but it's like, the Japanese have an expression that says we have three faces: the face that we show ourselves, the face that we show our friends, and the face that we show the world. But oftentimes the second part of that gets left off, which is that when all three of those faces are integrated, then true mastery is developed, because I'm the same person wherever I go with whatever I do. And then people will naturally trust me because they know what they're going to get.
Authenticity, presence.
I think that's what we're talking. Hugh was talking earlier about the old fogies. We like to go to YouTube as opposed to the other platforms. I think that's why. I think this younger generation has been brainwashed into TikTok is reality. And I've got two teenage boys, that live with me, and it's like these kids live like they're on a reality TV show, or they're constantly being live streamed on TikTok. I think it's like a generational difference at this point.
I can agree with that. I mean, for me, it's like this. It's like, coming up in this world of martial arts and incense and everything else, beginning at the age of 9, is that it's so integrated into who I am. If nobody invites me to something, I'm fine with that. I'm not. I don't want to become the Tony Robbins of incense. I don't want to begin.
You already are.
But I don't think that I am. But it's one of those things where it's like the currency that I have with my personal students, for example, are the questions that they ask. If they don't ask a question, then I have no obligation to teach them. And so, it's kind of like podcasts. If you guys don't invite me on, I'm not upset either way. But if you do invite me on, then great. Then we'll have a rich conversation, because my title, Komoto, means it. I'm not calling myself this, but this is how it translates: Master of Ceremonies in the Way of Incense. And so, but what that's about is that my job is to hold space for all people.
Yeah.
It quite literally is to lead without imposing my will and to be available to all people without rejecting anyone. Think about how many times you guys have been rejected for simply who you are and what you believe. And also think about how many times you've rejected others for simply who they are and what they believe. What's possible when you're able to accept people as they are. Now, I'm not saying go out in the parking lot and ask for a hug from a stranger.
Well, you're kind of describing Irreverent Warriors culture at hikes.
Say more about that.
It's very open, very what you're describing around holding space and being just show up as you are, get a hug from a stranger. That's one of the interesting things about the space we created at Irreverent Warriors is that, but it's so unusual that you haven't really seen it anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, but like here's the thing: it's like people are apt to go straight to, oh, well, I'm just going to use an example. Oh, you're a Christian. Well, what kind of Christian are you? You know, where I live, that was one of the first questions.
Labels.
The labels. It's like, oh, okay, well, you're a Christian, but you're not the right kind of Christian.
Yes. How do I know who you are in relation to me? And the only way I know that is by using my memory, as you said before, and figuring out what box you fit into, what box I fit into, and are those boxes, have I been told by others those boxes are compatible?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why those terms are important to identify where you're from, like in Utah.
Yes.
We were talking earlier.
Salt Lake, Utah.
Yeah, same thing.
You're such a... Anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
You finished that. I didn't need to say it.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. What else you got?
Tell me about the skate park. Tell me about why, how you got involved, what's going on.
Well, so first of all, I'd love to... I thank all of you for being at the groundbreaking for the Jeff White Memorial Skate Park. Roy was there. Rachel was there. Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, it was a great kickoff. There's some video out there of
and they got $250,000 from the state and $250,000 from the federal, and then private donations.
Yep. Johnny Felt, the guy on the far left there.
Yeah.
You know, he's the real dude. Like
Navy veteran.
Yeah.
Like diver. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. There he is, right there. I mean, that is the guy. I mean, you know, I may be involved, but what happened? And that's Jeff White's dad, and then his mom right there. That's my friend Bo Matthews, who was doing interviews with us, and there'll be a video out. And then again, that's Johnny Felt's there to the right. But you know, I went to an event. I saw it, and it was like, oh, cool, a skateboarding, you know, fundraiser. I'll go, right? And Johnny, like, just courage. He got up on stage and he did a great job. It was very authentic. And I was like, I would like to offer, you know, my background in radio and all this other stuff. And so we formed a friendship. And so we've coached each other. And so it was such an honor to be a part of that groundbreaking. But that is the dude, and a few other people, but that is the dude who has made this happen. And this skate park will, you know, live in perpetuity. You know, to honor, you know, J-Dub, that was his nickname.
Can I talk a little bit about him?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, yeah. Specialist Jeffrey White, a.k.a. J-Dub. He was a prolific and famous St. Louis area skateboarder, one of the best that Missouri has ever seen. Joined the U.S. Army, the 25th Infantry Division. He was in 1st of the 501st Infantry.
Yeah.
So that's the only parachute infantry regiment or battalion within the 25th Infantry Division. He was stationed in Alaska. And then they got sent over to Afghanistan, and they were in Coast, and he was in one of the most hot contested Taliban areas, and in a village down there, operating every single day with his team against the countering the insurgency there that was oppressing the villages there in Coast, and was killed in an ambush. And his parents, of course, devastated by it. But this has just been such a fantastic opportunity for them to do something permanent for children in his honor. You know, he was known in the 1st of the 501st as being someone that would hand out candy and interact with the kids, you know, when they were out on patrols.
Yeah.
And he would put himself in dangerous positions in order to show the locals that he wasn't afraid, you know, and that they were there to help. And he's just such a hero. He was a little bit northeast of where I was. I was on the border of Pakistan as well. He was on the border of Pakistan. I was on the border of Pakistan in Helmand River Valley the year after him. So I remember how hot it was, and I remember the type of insurgency that we were facing, and I just want to honor him, and I just find it so awesome that you grabbed onto this cause.
Well, for me, it just resonated, and it's been interesting is that I've asked a lot of people to be involved, and some people said they don't have time, but you guys have had time, and going back to Roy and Rachel, like having them there to represent Grunt Style, you there, to represent Irreverent Warriors. I mean, it was great because there were other charities that are veteran support groups that showed up as well. Dogs for the Brave was there, right? And that was the first time that I had met Brian, right?
Yes. And I was in the Marine Corps. I was his little brother's platoon sergeant.
Oh my gosh!
Really?
In the Marines.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Brian's awesome, man.
Yeah, he is. He's a good dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
We're gonna have him on the podcast, Will.
Oh, great! I love him, man.
Yes.
He's we go back.
Pichelle. Yeah, good dude.
Yeah,
Brian Pichelle, yes.
back a ways now. No, that's interesting stuff. So this skate park that's out there, and by the way, my apologies for not being able to make that. I had stuff pop up at the last second, and had to call Hugh and be like, "Oh my God!" But it sounds like we represented okay.
You did great. Yeah.
All right, so I'm glad that happened. What is this going to be like a destination kind of a thing for
It's going to
like
be the best
skaters?
skate park in Missouri.
Really?
It'll be it'll be the best skate park in Missouri. Maybe in surrounding states. Maybe not Illinois, but maybe all the other surrounding states.
Oh wow! So does that make it like a destination thing for like events and things like that?
Yes, for skate contests, and which of course we will talk about and plan for in the future. I'm sure at some point.
Oh yeah.
But skate contests and for just regional skateboarding hub. Yes.
Man, that's awesome. You guys are going to go skate, right? You guys are going to bring your boards.
We're going to be
and
there
get
at the
out and
grand
cut it
opening.
Oh yeah. Well, Johnny Phelps. I had made a joke on the video that will come out eventually, where it was like, I will drop in, as if to think that I wouldn't do that. It's
Right.
like, I know how to drop in. I still know how to drop in. And I also may be reaching out to Tony Hawk. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I may have sent a message to Tony Hawk to, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see if, famous Bones Brigade, might show up.
Let's do it.
I don't know.
I want to drop in with Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much for being a part of that and bringing us on board with the skate park. I can't wait to honor Jeff and his parents. And big shout out to Johnny Feltz. I wanted to ask Will before we conclude today. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what's going on the overprescription fight in DC. I know that there's been a lot of news about the VA secretary making some changes, and I know that specifically we've been advocating for this very loudly on social media. So I have to think that it's related.
It is, and we're super grateful, man, that we've got folks in government that are listening. They are having to contend with the status quo that's already in the bureaucracy. So there's a little bit of pushback going on probably behind the scenes is what my understanding of it is. And, nothing's really formal yet on that.
We're talking billions of revenue in pharmaceuticals that are going to be threatened by us changing tactics with the Veterans Affairs and their prescription policy.
Yeah, there's going to be pushback, right? So we got to buckle down. We got to just keep plowing because really the deal with the informed consent, which is what we're talking about, where before any of these psychotropics of the bad variety are prescribed, you should at least have the courtesy of your provider explaining what the potential side effects are, how this can affect you, what you can expect, and then allow you to make your own decision if that's something that you want to do or not do.
Yeah, when I had suicidal ideation from Zoloft, no one had ever explained any of that to me, so it was so disorienting. And then I figured it out on my own, but I thought legitimately I wanted to kill it was a real feeling of I should kill myself.
That's part of what goes along with these things. In the VA's position, when you get into the, how the sausage is made and the discussions going on around this type of advocacy and work, is that, the VA's position has been they're really loath to have informed consent because they don't want to discourage people from taking these pills. Where that's exactly the whole point of what we're trying to do is to make people aware to make them hopefully discourage them from taking these pills.
Well, at least just know the risks, and also you can't get off of them easily. So it's like you're putting someone on something that they have to take for the rest of their life.
So it's even in the Trump CEO the other day when he asked whoever that was in the office, the big scientist there, and he asked her how effective are these things? They're like, maybe around 20%. And he kept foot stomping that over and over, trying to get them to commit to that on record. So anyhow, John Rich led that. effort for us with the VFW and Grunt Foundation, and that's the musician from Big and Rich, and he's personal friends with Doug Collins, and they had a conversation, and they talked a lot about it, and Secretary Collins told them that they would be looking into that and that they were inclined towards that, and then John Rich followed that up saying they'd had a different conversation and that was going to go forward, and that's kind of where we're at. So now, we've just got to keep pushing. We got to keep dogpiling that pressure on. So towards that end, it's either going to be maybe as soon as next week, but that's we're always hopping and moving fast. But we're definitely doing a press conference within the next 2 weeks anyway. So more to follow on that. Great. I know we've got Representative Bill Rackus is going to be speaking at that. We've got supporters from both on the Republican side as well as the Democrat side. So it's a bipartisan effort, and so more to follow. So we're going to keep the heat turned high on that because we've got the beachhead, man. It's time to start flamethrowing pillboxes and get this done,
Good, yeah, because there's so many kids that are like us now that are getting off active duty, 22, 23 years old. They're going to the VA for their first appointment, and they're leaving with a bunch of prescriptions and no education.
Yeah.
No information. So that's wonderful. All right, well, before we conclude, I want to make sure I call out again, May 15th, our integration retreat, holistic modalities in Indiana, for anybody that's interested. May 16th, Columbus, Ohio, hike, Fort Worth, hike, Salt Lake City, Utah, Salt Lake, Utah, SLUT, hike, Philly, Philadelphia, and then later in May, Massachusetts, Wyoming, Normandy, France, and Kansas City. We've got a busy May coming up.
That's incredible. And for those watching today, we're going to be back on the air here at 1:30 when we're going to be talking with former Missouri Senator Holly Thompson-Reuters. We're talking about the issue of psilocybin. There's a bill here in the Missouri legislature on psilocybin and ibogaine, and that should be a pretty interesting conversation, and we'll let everybody know what's going on there because this is the tip of the spear on this type of conversation.
Plant medicines.
It's all, yeah. I mean,
and the data behind ibogaine is insane. It's like people that are heroin addicts after one treatment are cured of something they've been trying to kick for 20 or 30 years. I mean, we cannot, as an American public, ignore the data anymore.
And I never miss an opportunity to foot stomp this. That is with 88% efficacy of complete and total opioid abatement on the first administration of that modality. And if you are in that 12% that it did not have those same results upon a second administration, then that brings the total efficacy rate up to 98% and change.
That's insane.
No withdrawals, that's no detoxing, that's just bam, reset.
And that's one of the hardest mental health problems I think we've ever seen in this country is the opioid crisis, right?
Yeah, that's self-inflicted.
If it solves for that, it can definitely, we've seen it with the veteran studies that ibogaine pretty much can cure suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's start talking about plant medicines more, and let's make them more available.
Well, tune in everybody at 1:30 today. We're going to be talking with Senator Holly Thompson-Reuters, and we will cover that in detail.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend, and stay safe out there.
All right. Stay waxy, everybody.